to welcome everybody out to Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson podcast. We got a really good group of guys here, a group of guys that I've been hoping to interview for a long time now. I was on their show maybe over a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, so they finally made it down this way. Harley has a big model launch today, the new Icon model, the Fat Boy Gray Ghost, the 1990 modern day interpretation of that through the Icon series. So they just happened to be coming down for the shindig today, so I roped them into doing a podcast with me. So thanks for coming, guys.
Glad to be here.
You're welcome, and I'd like to maybe get the elephant out of the room.
Okay.
Really? Yeah. I heard you are being critical of how we film. And listen to me, Kimosabi. If you want to go out, no, I'm kidding. I get nothing from good comments.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Gaylin, because I actually think you guys probably have one of the most cinematic channels, Harley channels, on YouTube. And so kudos to that. We're going to be talking more about that in a minute. But I think the guys that need no introduction, but two-lane life here. We got Gaylin, Lance, and Josh here. I think if you follow my channel, you probably already follow their channel. Yeah, they do some fantastic road trips. A lot of guys on YouTube will do Harley stuff, talk about the bikes and stay local, but these guys, most of their stuff, besides their live podcasts, they're out on the road and they're riding, they're like logging some serious miles. We've done, I think, one good long ride. Yep. We had talked about doing another ride here really soon. Me and my crew wussed out and we're not going, but we're going to have to do something this year for sure.
I'll tell you, I mean, that ride that we were on with you guys, I mean, we only had, 2 days or 1 day of good weather riding. The rest was all rain, 24 hours worth of rain. It was gnarly.
We got hammered. And that's where I learned from you guys some of the best practices in riding gear. The boots, the boot gaiters is something I picked up now from, I think it was Lance that first told me about it. So yeah, I'm prepared now. So that was a learning experience for sure.
But we do need to do another ride.
We do. We do. Yeah, we had talked about another ride. I don't know if you guys want to discuss where you guys are going, but yeah, I'll be looking for that on their channel here really soon. But I wanted to start off, guys, kind of how I start a lot of the podcasts off, and that's just talking about how you guys first got introduced to motorcycles at a young age, I assume.
All right. Well, probably when I was 16, I used to go out to Indian Dunes with my brother, and he had a Yamaha 125 old school. I rode it around a little bit, but that was really the only time I was on a motorcycle. And then when I had my son Lance, when he was 4 years old, he's got a PW50, started hitting the track, and my wife's going, this is kind of fun, this is cool. And then it was like, within 6 months, it's like, you guys are going like twice a week now, and you're training, and now he's got a KTM 50, and you're looking at a trailer, and so the race life happened. And so from 4 years old to probably 17, 18, we traveled the country. He raced dirt bikes. I helped him out. I kind of messed with the bikes a little bit for him. He quit motorcycles, or he quit doing motocross, and he got into freestyle motocross, and then we traveled the world. And so a buddy of mine his kid was racing and riding with us. He said, you should get a Harley. He goes, I have a Harley, and they're fun. And I'm like, I thought I would never, ever in a million years be on a street bike. In fact, I was not into it. I was a whitewater rafter. I raced whitewater kayaks. I was an outdoor guy. And then it's like, hey, I think I'll get a Harley. And once I got that Harley, I was riding every day, riding it to work. Then just it snowballed into my life.
Yeah.
So Harleys are my life.
Very cool. Yeah, I remember actually, growing up and stuff, watching Lance on the X Games. I used to be diehard X Games guys, and so I remember watching Lance compete and win the gold medal and everything. So that's very cool. So awesome. That's rad. Yeah, so Gaylin, how'd you get started?
Yeah, so for me, my father actually built, I would call the first Strider. He pipe bent some aluminum pipe and made little kind of push bikes for us. And then that graduated into mini bikes with a Briggs & Stratton 2.5 horse and a 5 horse, as you get a little bit older. I think my first motorcycle was a Suzuki 75, and I think I was 8. And I rode the wheels off of that thing. We're in Utah, so the outdoors and all of that, that's what we did as a family, is go out and ride motorcycles, river raft, camp. Then I graduated to a 175 Yamaha, and it was an enduro, so I had to raise the front fender to make it a dirt bike, which was great. Probably at that time, not the safest rider in the world. I'd have a passenger on the back, no helmets, doing jumps. It was pretty sketchy.
That's pretty typical of, 30 years plus ago. I don't want to date you or anything, but you know,
it was close.
Even when I grew up, like it's like just whatever, no helmets, whatever.
And then my first street bike was a 750 Yamaha Midnight Maxim. And
Nice.
then I bought a couple dirt bikes when my son was first born. Did those Yamahas. I was a Yamaha guy most of my life. And then later in life, picked up a 2011 Road King as my first Harley. And I've had 6 or 7 bikes since then. So loved it, enjoyed it. And there's nothing like being on that Harley. The first one that you have, especially, because you're learning that thing and you're hearing the motor. And I mean, it's a depth in the soul that you get from it.
Yeah, Road King. I like that. My first Harley was a Road King as well. 09, actually. So
Mine was an 08.
very similar. Your first Harley was an 08 Road King?
Road King.
Okay, you didn't get the new frame, but that's okay. But
Well, and I wish I kept it. It was a candy root beer two-tone.
oh,
And
I
it
know
was
the bike.
So beautiful.
I know the bike. We get a lot of money for those bikes if
Yeah.
we can ever get one. Should have kept that one.
Beautiful.
Josh, tell us about your story getting started.
The medium version. I always loved motorcycles growing up, as any kid does. You know, you're at a car show. Can I sit on that? Yada yada. But my mom always told us, if you get a motorcycle, you better find another place to live. Just like basically you're kicked out if you get a bike.
Yeah.
Then when I was reaching, I think I just got out of high school, and just basically when I reached the point of, I figured I'd be able to figure it out if that was the case. I did. So I got a bike. She didn't kick me out. My older brother was like, oh, he's still got a place to live. So he got a bike.
Yeah.
And then I actually started on the street. Most of my friends rode dirt, but I didn't start dirt until probably 9-10 months after getting my first sport bike. Same deal. Probably pretty surprised that I'm alive still, because you give a dude, I didn't even have a license for a little bit, but you could be on the freeway in one of those in third gear and just pop a wheelie. And anyway, had a Yamaha. My first Harley was an 86 FXR that I got shortly after we started riding, because they took me on my first. I was always just in Malibu riding canyons, Decker, having fun on Sundays. That's about it. And then the first trip I did with them was out to like Tahoe area,
Yep.
1,200
Virginia
miles,
City, Tahoe.
2 or 3 days,
It's a good
1,200 miles on a sport bike with. I just had all my cameras strapped to
Oh,
me.
you went on a sport bike, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
on a Yamaha.
Yeah, his trunk was this big.
Yeah.
Put a pair of gloves in it.
FC
We
07.
ruined him. We thought he was done because he was frozen. He was cold. It snowed, rained.
I didn't know rain gear was a thing. I legit had no idea.
Well, we came over Kit Carson
Carson.
Pass, and we had looked at the weather. There was not supposed to be weather, and we just got slammed. It
Dang.
was the coldest I've ever ridden. He was frozen. His hands were frozen to the bars.
It was great.
And he stuck with you guys.
He
I'm
stuck with
surprised.
us.
He didn't just
Yes.
like tap out after that. But
Yeah.
he was probably young, and like you said, he didn't know any different, right?
Right.
And, but now I'm sure that you're on the Harley, you'll probably never go back to the sport bike doing long rides anyways, right?
Yeah, not the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then I've had a handful of bikes, obviously. Road King, Road Glide, a couple of Road Kings, Softail. Just loving it.
I mean, it's
Very cool.
interesting that all of us had a Road King, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember the dealer, it was out in Simi Valley. They're no longer there. They're out in Ventura now. But the salesman was like, okay, so this is your first Harley, right? And I'm like, yeah, and I want a road bike. I want the touring. And he's like, you need to start out on a Road King. It's a well-balanced bike. It had the 103, so it had enough power. And I'm like, okay, and I got on it, and he was right. It was so balanced. Coming from that 750 Midnight Maxim, you know, much heavier bike on the Road King, and it felt better than that Yamaha.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a thing for Road Kings. It is like a good starter bike for people, or
Well, you know, I think it's not a great starter bike, but I think someone that has experience like you, like on-road touring riding, I think it's a great motorcycle, especially a guy like you that rides a lot of mileage. Especially, I mean, you're a pretty big guy too, and so I think that's a perfect fit. It's kind of like your gateway touring bike.
Right,
So
right.
it's the perfect bike. I think for your stage and your riding, I think that was probably a good recommendation from the salesman. So kudos to him. It doesn't always go that way.
Well, when I went to get my driver's license, everyone's like, take a small bike, take this 70, it's street legal, you'll do great. Take this, went on the 70, put my foot down, fail. Took another bike, Yamaha something, it's really easy, lightweight, fail. Took my Road King, passed.
Okay, you're a legend, man, because even here at the dealer, like I'm surrounded by people that ride all the time, and whenever someone goes down to get their license, they never take their Harley. they always borrow a scooter or like a little dual sport?
I took mine on. I didn't even have one with the Road King, so they delivered the bike, and I rode for 2 years or 3 years without a license. I had one in Utah. I don't know why it didn't transfer over, and I didn't know any different. So I had a CVO 2015 or 7. I can't remember 15.
Yeah.
And I took that to the DMV, and I had the music playing, and people were like clapping.
Who is this guy?
I think
you passed on the CVO.
Oh yeah, easy.
Wow, and that's awesome.
I
Good for
think
you.
the heavier bike, the platform, doing that slow maneuvering is way easier than a light just bike that just moves around too much. I just boom, done.
Yeah, well, it's not uncommon that people, a lot of, especially Harley riders, ride without a license around here. You know, their M1. I think it's getting less common now because you save on insurance and stuff. But
Right.
I remember when I got mine. I think it was probably when I was 19 or 20 or something like that. I took a little. I think it was a Buell Blast. You guys remember those bikes? Yeah. So back when Harley-Davidson still had Buells, I took one of those down there. It was like a 500cc bike or something. But that's impressive. You guys took your full dressers down there.
I did the CHP class, so I didn't have to take a rider. Rider test.
Well, Gaylin and I just finished the Champs U school out in Las Vegas at the Motor Speedway.
Okay.
And
you guys posted about that, right?
And we were racing and ripping, and we took our big baggers, and I kept the tour pack on, and this is how we travel, so this is how we're going to race.
I love it.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. That Speedway is cool.
We learned a lot, and I would highly recommend that school for anyone. And they do it on the last Sunday of the Champ School, and they're doing it in December this year. But it's Red Rock puts it out for their riders and their membership there. But if you're a non-member, you can come in as long as you're on your Harley, register and vote, sign up for it. But we had beginning riders to experience, and everyone walked away from that ride with something, including us. It confirmed we are mostly riding right. But there were some things that we picked up on that we are going to improve the riding for us, which is crazy.
It's awesome how, because I've been to a couple schools. There's a SoCal Supermoto school that I've done, and I've done a couple of the ADV riding schools with Rawhide. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rawhide.
Yeah.
So I've taken his course twice, and you're right. It confirms certain things that you do. And I think when we were at the launch of the CVO Road Glide ST, like Kyle Wyman was there giving us some pointers with braking and stuff too. And I mean, one thing specifically was covering the front brake with one of your fingers.
Right.
And I've always done that. And I've actually been criticized on YouTube in my videos like, dude, stop covering the brake. What are you doing? And I said that to Kyle. I was like, Kyle, like, is that right or wrong? And he's like, well, do you want to stop as fast as possible? Do you want to die, basically? I said, well, no, I want to stop as fast as possible. So then do it. I do it. I was like, that's good enough for me, man.
We had the Wyman brothers as well.
At the Speedway? Awesome.
And when they're so into the finger on the brake that I would come to a stop and be talking to them and relaxing, and they're like, cover your brake. And I'm like, I'm just sitting here, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I covered it, but not that often. And so I've consciously focused on all the time.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a habit I picked up in dirt bike riding because I started off in the dirt.
Right.
So, anyways, good habit.
Yeah.
So let me ask the question. So you guys started riding together at some point before the YouTube thing, right? Like how long was it where you guys were riding and traveling together before you decided? And then what made you guys all of a sudden decide, hey, let's start a YouTube channel? Like how did that come about?
Probably a year of riding.
No.
I thought you were riding for 10 years before.
No, we were riding probably 4 years before that.
Okay, 4 years.
4 or 5 years.
We've been riding 10 years before separately, but then...
Oh, gotcha.
So our wives work together.
Oh, okay.
In a pediatrician's office. And...
that's how we became friends.
Cool.
So we actually were hanging out with his wife before we even knew who he was. But then we went to his wedding, the blah, blah, blah. Years later, retirement party for the work office. We haven't seen each other in years, but we'd always go to work parties and have a good time. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, I have a Harley. Really? I have a Harley too. We should go ride. Well, another few months passed, and then we went on a breakfast ride. Fast forward, we go, okay, well, let's go to Neptune's. Let's go to Kern. And then he drew a circle and said, we can go 500 miles, So that's how it started getting the distance. I mean, we're both into adventure and travel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing this, and we're coming home telling our families, this is great. Look, we met this person. They showed us their restaurant, this and that. And Lance and his family, they're like, you guys, why are you telling us? I love that you're telling us, but why don't you tell the world?
Yeah.
Start a channel.
Well, I mean, you think about you've been out traveling, and your videos are fantastic as well, by the way.
Thanks.
And we watched your stuff before we even started our stuff, just to kind of get an idea. But you think about, what the motorcycle community brings and the places that you can see. And I was an executive at the bank, so I could really get time off whenever I needed it. And he's an adventure guy, rafting and outdoors, and I'm an adventure guy from my upbringing. And so it was like, let's just not go to Neptune's every week. Like, let's find some places to go explore. And then at that time, there's no comms. The first real ride we did, we ended up through Prescott, and then as we're headed up to Flagstaff, we got a snowstorm. We're in beanies. We're like, our brain bucket helmets. We're not just like, but it was so enjoyable. And we saw this, one of the most amazing sunsets ever. We pulled over off the 40 and took pictures of the bikes. And it was, so when you bring that stuff home, or you bring the story of the triangle that this lady bartender tells us at the Canyon Club in Williams, and you tell this stuff to some of the family members. Yeah. They're like, guys, this is some cool stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
When we never cared if it was raining, snowing, windy, whatever was happening, we would go. So we were like, Lance goes, get a little computer, do some iMovies, edit it, you'll have some YouTube videos.
Well, and just before that, I left a bank job down in San Diego, and I got pretty bored. And so we knew a bunch of the sponsors that help us through, whether it was providing us a windscreen like Clockworks or those kind of things. And so we decided to start talking to them about, building a couple bikes, put them in Sprinter vans and run them up and down the state, and let the sales managers, general managers, parts managers of all the dealerships to test the bikes out and start trying to carry their parts within the dealerships. And so, and he still had setwear, which he still does today, and he couldn't take the time to drive in the van and do certain things like I was planning on doing. And we're out in the parking lot talking about it, and he's kind of bummed, and then little Lance walked out. We call him Little Lance, but Junior.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you two talking about? I'm like, here's what we're thinking. He goes, you're crazy. You guys should start your YouTube channel. And we just looked at each other, and we're like, all right, let's go that way.
Build your own thing.
Build your own
business.
So we did phone videos. We got some GoPros. And we come back with footage, and we're like, how are we going to edit this? Yeah. So then we're like, we go to the warehouse at Thrashing, and we're like,
but before that, before you went to the warehouse, where'd you go?
We went to a guy that was going to come next.
A
guy in our screen printer that did our T-shirts for Thrashing and stuff like that.
Trying to teach us how to do iMovie.
And we're looking at him, and we're like,
he's pulling layers down and doing this, and we're looking at each other
I'm out of here. I wish I knew it, and I wish I knew Illustrator and Photoshop, because I'm a sign painter, I'm an artist, and I would love to create art on a computer, but I just haven't got into it because I'm busy doing other things. So, went to Thrashing, and we said, hey, does anyone know anyone that edits? Well, Rob Scott said, I have a friend, Josh.
He pulled up his phone and he said, look at this. And I say it wrong, so Josh will correct. So where was it?
Reyes Peak in Maricopa County. I was camping,
So he had a drone shot. He had a fire. He had a fire going. He had all these people, and it was just a really cool thing. We're like, get him over here.
Yeah.
So fast forward that, we would hand him cards. He'd edit videos, sight unseen, just take him and come back a video, and we'd be like, wow, this is really great. And then he started coming to the office daily and editing. And after a little bit of time, we're like, he needs to go on a trip with us. He needs to actually be there.
Because you guys were filming your own stuff. He wasn't there. You'd film your own.
It was like a little iPhone, a little GoPro, a little this, a little that,
But the whole thing about the trip thing?
The videography was perfect, though, right?
Exactly. It was always great.
Good lighting and everything.
They never filmed for too long.
Audio, audio was perfect, I'm sure.
But the whole cool thing about that, to have him go on trips, was now he's on a trip, and now he's learning our idiosyncrasies, how we ride, what we talk about, how we maneuver together. So now he's seeing, I really want to get this shot, but look what they're doing right here. So now so it went from never going on a trip to let's go on one trip to now you have to go on every single trip because you have to film. But we all GoPro'd, handed him the stuff, but it was so overwhelming. And it got to a point after a couple of years where it's like, you know what? you film. We're not filming anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
And he loved that because...
And let me roll it back just a little bit, just to give people perspective. So we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into, right? Mm-hmm. We each put $2,000 out of our own pocket into the company. We formed an LLC in January of 2020, not knowing that COVID was going to hit.
Yep.
And we thought, how are we going to make this work? You know, we're personally investing in this to make it work, but we need to go on trips, and we need to buy gas, and we need to eat out on these trips. So we set up a website with the parts that we run. With Drag's knowing, we took on Lance's son's account from Drag, and we started putting parts up on. So Josh was not only instrumental in helping us film and create content, he helped us build the website.
Yeah.
And so that was our foray into like, okay, if this could pay for our lunch and our trips and our gas and hotels, that was our goal.
And what is that, twolanelife.com?
That's twolanelife.com.
Check it out, guys, twolanelife.com for your drag specialty parts.
And we do have people say, what does two lane mean? We love to be on the 2 lanes. That's where it came from. Luke Leatherman anointed it that on a trip to Sturgis. He said, I love the 2 lanes. We picked up on that and said, that's what we're going to call the company.
I love it, by the way. Yeah. Great name.
I mean, that's where you find the small towns, the family legacy, and people that still love, what they're doing in this country. Yeah. So we're shaking hands with America. Yeah. That's our big thing. So, but going back to your footage real quick. So, we're filming. He's filming cinematic. He's got an eye for what he wants to see. He's our boss now because we can say, I want to see this, and he just won't listen to us. He does whatever he wants. But, but if you look at someone like Thrashin', right? One camera, he's doing his shots. Lighting doesn't matter. Nothing matters. They just do these vlogs, and it's successful because they have a vibe. Yep. We have our vibe, and you have your own vibe where you do the voiceovers and the shots.
Drones.
So it's everyone has their own thing, and people like them.
Their own artistic style, for sure.
Yeah.
I think whatever you can do to make it feel the most natural. We've always got comments. I'm sure you've got comments from over the years about, hey, when I watch this, I really feel like I'm there with you guys.
Yep.
And what we've noticed with ours is sometimes we have a couple different styles of videos, but if we're just doing a regular road trip video and we kind of overproduce it, it doesn't translate the same way to the viewer. Versus if we're just having fun, a little closer to the style like his son does it, just, hey, here we are. Oh, shit, drop that, whatever. Real time, being real, people just, they love it,
We don't edit out a lot of mistakes. We leave them in just to be real.
But I also think that the way we set the company up has afforded us that ability because we're not dependent just on YouTube. We get YouTube income, but it's not what people think it is.
You take the stress out of it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, and that's huge.
And so we kind of set it up like I look at it from a banking perspective. If I'm going to lend to you, you better have other areas of revenue. You can't just have one.
Right.
And so that's how we've set this up, and we've been blessed to do it for 5.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and you guys have built easily one of the most recognizable. I mean, you guys are some of the most recognizable Harley-Davidson content creators in the world, easily. And so, kudos to you guys. That's awesome. I definitely want to get back to, Josh and the filming and everything, because from one videographer, if you want to call it that, to editor to another, you do a great job. And
thank you.
It is very interesting, though. It's a balance with the whole YouTube thing where it's like, how much time do I spend on making this as cinematic as possible as opposed to just getting it out there and making it natural and in the moment. And it's hard to gauge what your viewers really want. So that's always been a struggle of mine. So to hear you comment on that is very interesting because I really appreciate like the nice drone shots, the color grading you put in. Some of those shots you do, like the riding footage where it's like zooming in and zooming out, I think is fantastic. What's been your journey? I'm sure you've learned a lot as you've done this, right? I saw a post of yours recently. We were talking before the podcast about you outlining your journey from starting to where you are now.
I mean, the main takeaway from that was partially it was kind of all an accident. I never planned on. I went to business school, studied marketing, never really knew what I wanted to do with that, but that's the degree you get when you don't know.
Yeah.
But I picked up cameras through college. Eventually, could stop working at sandwich joints and doing sales jobs and whatnot just by doing some freelance.
Valet parking.
I still did that when I was doing freelance, but because I didn't study it, formally, the video and camera stuff, I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and that opens up so many doors for freedom and for trying new things, not knowing that, oh, you're breaking the rule of thirds, you're breaking this composition rule, or your coloring's messed up, or whatever it may be. Just had fun with it. And for us, when we started, we all agreed we're going to do 52 episodes a year until we can't. And then we did, I think, 3.5 years of that.
No, last year was the first time.
Oh, yeah, 4. So 230 something episodes in a row without a single one dropped on a Thursday, a day later instead.
Well, Christmas and New Year's fell on our drop day this year.
This year.
Okay.
So we didn't drop.
Yeah.
And that's the first time in the existence since March of 2020 that we missed
a week.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row.
Wow. That's consistency.
Pretty insane.
And I mean, they talk about how consistency is one of the most important things on YouTube for sure.
But I think you can miss, and I think it makes your fan base want to see it even more. You can miss once in a while. It's no big deal.
Of course.
But we proved it to ourselves, you know. Yeah. And with what I was getting at is that you're getting 52 practice laps a year. You're getting all this practice, and you know, at the time when we each had a handheld camera, we each had a helmet camera. I had a drone. We were carrying 2 mirrorless cameras. We have this and backup, this and that. So every night when we get to a hotel, I am uploading or transferring data from 10, 12 SD cards. That was a learning experience. Okay, how to patch all of this together to tell a story. And then we dialed things back a little bit.
So to even go back before, we each had cards that we numbered 1, 2, 3. So the days
before.
And then he's like, "This is insane. I can't do this." So then he started downloading at the hotel as soon as we'd get in, and then he's stuck doing that. You know, we go have dinner, and then he's up until 3, and we got to leave at 7.
Dude, it's such a big job.
So big.
But I don't know, to keep it somewhat short, since we've simplified things and we decided, okay, once or twice a year we're going to do a series that's a little more storytelling. We'll sit down, we'll interview people, we'll make a bit more of a point of it than just dudes going on a road trip. So the balance of that and kind of refining the recipe, we'll say, for capturing and editing our regular episodes has given me a window to work with creatively, and it's just fun. We always talk about stuff on the road. Hey, should we try this? Should we try that? You know, I don't remember the question, but
yeah, no, I think you covered it. It's interesting to see, like you talked about, Lance, different people's style, and a lot of people on YouTube that are Harley-Davidson content creators want to talk a lot about the bikes. And you guys talk about your bikes, but you're more about the adventure, the road trip, where you're going, the history of where you're going, meeting these people in Seligman or wherever it may be, you know, and so I think that's something that sets you guys apart in a big way.
Sell them the dream, not the machine, you know.
I mean, you hear stories like we were outside of Kingman. We stopped at a bar to get some lunch, and a guy on a side-by-side rolled in, and he's like, "What do you guys got there?" And we're like, "How far have you gone?" He goes, "Well, he can tell how many miles he's ridden in his side-by-side by how many beers he drank."
That's old school right there. That's
it's like the
beer barometer, right?
Where do you find those stories? You know, you don't unless you get into the underbelly of places.
Yeah. But the real cool thing, like he just said and you just said, what was that?
Sell them the dream, not the machine.
So what happens is you eventually end up selling the machine because they want to have that dream.
Totally.
So it's like a lifestyle. It's not forced selling. It's like, I want to do what they're doing, and the only way to do that is to go buy a motorcycle.
And I think what you guys just said right there is exactly why I started a YouTube channel, and then you guys almost did it for me. Well, in conjunction with me, right? Because I do videos as well, but not as many road trip videos as you guys do. And that's, you know, because people come into the dealership, they look at bikes. I can sell them on the features and benefits of the bikes all day long. But and you can tell them about how the road trip was fun, you had a good time, but until someone sees it and sees in the moment, like how much fun you're having out on the road, it's not as meaningful.
Gives me chills just thinking about it.
I'll tell you what, though, as well, like when we have people come through our shop that are out-of-towners and they're coming here just to see, there's 3 people they mention: Thrash and Supply, 2 Lane Life, and Laidlaw.
I get the same thing.
That they're going, they're making a circuit, and so clearly there's an impact by the media that we've put out.
Totally.
And people are enjoying that, and they want. I mean, we had these open houses the last 2 years, and we were blown away by the number of people that showed up. And then Thrashin just had theirs, and completely blown away. You know, when people come through, they come to see Thrashin, Tulane, and Laidlaw, and those are the 3 names we hear all the time. And so I was saying, look at the reach we've all had and what we've helped create. Like our open houses were big, and then Thrashin's open house was massive, and it's been a very interesting, I don't want to call it fame, but a very interesting 5 years of mostly fate. Things have just fallen in line, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I mean, what was it, a week or 2 weeks ago when Thrashin had their open house? We had a crazy amount of people just come through here and say they're out of state and they're here for the Thrashin Supply open house, but they wanted to come by and check out our shop as well. So thank you, Lance, for the traffic to our dealership. But yeah, it's incredible. And kudos to him and you guys. I mean, your guys' open houses are very successful as well. I still need to make it out. It's always on a Saturday when I'm stuck here selling bikes, but it's very cool just what you guys have built. And
I think we're lucky because we have 2 riders that are a little bit more seasoned. We added a third. We added our wives into the mix.
Yeah.
And then we also go on rides with what we call the young guns or the kids.
Yeah.
So, you kind of get this mixed goods every year of different rides, and people look forward to seeing that they really love the wives out there. They want to see them on the bike.
People like different personalities is what I found. Like if we're going on a ride, if it's just like me and one other person, like I won't even do it anymore. It's unfortunately, but it's just because, I mean, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I won't even ride that much anymore, like in a group without filming it.
Right.
And so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
it's what it is.
It is what
when
it
we
is,
go
right?
with the Thrashin boys and it's Lance, Juan, Cole, Dom.
Yeah, people love
and
those.
it's us, and we all interact together, and
I
they can
love
tell
those.
we're family, and they can tell we're just having a good time, and people love it. And when we're walking through an event and they see all of us, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're all here!"
100%. Yeah.
That's a good point, though. I didn't think of that. Like in my mind, whether it's a trip for personal trip, whatever it may be, it's like minimum of 3 is when you're going to have the best time.
Yeah.
For us, by default, we have 3.
But the really good thing that we've kind of learned as well is if we know typically destination day 1, right? And if it's like we're going to go on the 40 again, it's like let's start filming when we get there. And so we just enjoy the ride, and not film, and then similarly on the back end of it, we're coming back down the 15 to get home, and it's like, let's just chill and cruise, listen to music, enjoy the ride. And
totally. I've started to do a little bit of the same. Like if we're going up to 15 to Utah or whatever, it's like, okay, we're not doing the 15 anymore, but Williams never gets old.
Right.
Yeah.
Never.
But it also, over the years, has changed our time of getting into the towns. I mean, we're twilighters now, where it used to be, you get there earlier in the day, and I think it's also helped the content because you get these just amazing shots as the sun's going down, and it adds just a whole different texture to the film.
Yeah. Once again, the videography is beautiful, man. Like you do a good job, Josh.
Appreciate it.
A suggestion to you guys, and I'm sure you already do this, but take very good care of this guy because I've interviewed several people off the record that have said, if he ever becomes available, I'm stealing him. That's not coming from me, but that's coming from other people that have sat in your guys' seats.
I've heard a couple of stories, but you know what?
Yeah, so, take good care of this guy.
Well, let me put it to you this way. He makes more money than us.
and let me put another thing out there.
I believe it.
If he wants to own this company one day, he's not going anywhere.
Okay, all right, well.
Unless I take like a 2-month vacation to Italy or something with a little blackmail.
Well, just so everyone out there knows, I mean, he's a young man. We're older. He likes the Thrashin guys. He loves us guys. We've become family.
Yeah.
And it's like we take care of each other. So it'd be like,
well,
it'd be weird, but.
And trust me, things have changed a little bit for us too. It's like, we now as a bigger business, we're not where we need to be, but now we have to bring him on as an employee, right? We can't have him as a contractor anymore because he's in the location. And so that's changed. And then, this is probably the first, he's taken a little like 2 or 3 day weekends, but this is one of the first years he's actually taken a week with his family and went to Iceland. And it was during a film day that we needed him for the track day at Vegas. And we're like, no way, you go with your family. He's he wasn't going to say he was coming to the track day anyway, but it was like
you don't pass up on Iceland, right?
But you got to go,
awesome.
man. You're not going to get this every year, so get out of there.
And the cool thing is, though, is like this last weekend, he was at the One Moto show, shooting for Harley-Davidson.
That's awesome.
But also, he's on vacation and he's getting paid.
It's a win-win, right?
Right?
Yeah, and it's something that, you know, obviously we've talked about things like that before I went out and did that sort of thing, but we make it work. You know, I flew out on a Friday. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
This is not for Iceland.
No, not for Iceland. Yeah, for shooting that show last weekend. And then I got home, edited for a couple hours, went to bed at 3 a.m. I'm in the office on Monday. Like it's not taking away from what we do, but we're always working on something. We stay busy. We have projects with brands. We have our own videos to work on. We got social. We got marketing. The web store obviously keeps us busy. So
he's part of the brand. That's why we're going to make a T-shirt saying "We love Josh."
I don't think I'd buy that.
That's true. That's true. I'm buying one. If you do that shirt, I'm buying it for sure.
But I think at the end of the day, we're smart enough as well to know that if he wants to go freelance and do some work, and he can earn some money, he's a young man. You know how it is coming up. He's got a truck now. He's got this happening. He's got that, and so he
the bills
needs to
just
earn
stack
income.
up, right? Yeah.
So
yeah, well, that wasn't really that was more of a joke than a word of caution to you guys. I know you guys are family and you love him. You take good care of him, I'm happy you brought up working for Harley-Davidson because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about with you guys too. I think for a couple of years there, it was like you guys just kept popping up everywhere. I'd see you in the catalogs. I would see you. Every year, one of my highlights of my life is just seeing the new models that come out now in January. It used to be in summer. And I think it was the 2021 model year. You guys were riding the CVOs. I think Lance was in that as well. You and Lance were talking to each other, and I think you called him a sissy for like complaining about the cold or something like that. But talk a little bit about how what's the relationship been like with Harley-Davidson, and how did that first start for you guys?
Horrible. We don't like them.
Well, what I remember is sitting there, and I was talking to Lance saying, what does it take to get, you have some connections at Harley. How do we get in front of them and let them know what we're doing? And what he just said, don't try, just make the great stuff you're making and they will come. And they did.
That's good advice.
We've had people ask us, how do I get that connection? How do I do this and that? We said the same thing for years.
Yes.
But when we kind of put 2 and 2 together, it was like, we don't necessarily need to chase that, although it will be helpful. But we just did our thing, and eventually that relationship can come to fruition. But trying to do that off the bat when you haven't
done
anything.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things too. So we had a contact by the name of Frank. I won't give him his last name, and really probably more Lance Jr. helped with this because he was like, that's not for me, but that's something that my dad and his friend and their company Tulane do. So maybe you should talk to them. So he kind of probably helped that along a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we went and met with Frank in Milwaukee, and he said, we need sage riders. And so Lance and I are considered sage, I guess, right?
Sage riders? What does that mean exactly?
Older.
Okay.
But a note on that, though. The sage riders and what we've done and what we've created, all the young riders and the stunt guys, and we've had them tell us to our face, we want to do what you guys are doing.
We've had them on trips.
We want to travel.
Well, doing burnouts and wheelies in the parking lot, you can only have so much fun for so long doing
cool,
that, right?
Until about 1 p.m.
We took Seabear on a trip to Sturgis, and it's his favorite trip ever. C.J. Barham and his dad rode with us on another trip to Sturgis. We just happened to run into him, didn't know him.
Well, I love traveling with you guys, by the way, because you know the good restaurants, you know the freaking good roads everywhere. Oh, we got to make a right here. It's like, how did you find this? Like when we went off out of Kingman and took the old Route 66. I was like, dude, how did you guys anyway? So I can imagine why people love riding with you guys.
But yeah, so that's been cool. But I think the working with Harley, so that kind of opened some doors. Frank left the company. Some others came in. They came and asked if we wanted to do I think our first thing was the Enthusiast magazine after Lance did the CVO launch.
I remember you guys in the magazine
Josh
as well.
Kurpius came out and shot us, and we were like pretty excited. And then
that guy's a legend.
And so down to earth, man. Just
so
a
cool.
great guy.
Yeah.
And then we decided they said, hey, your Enthusiast magazine's going to be at the Lizelle tent, Harley tent on Lizelle Street. Go pick him up. And so we stopped there, and then we met Matt Swedlin there.
Okay.
And he became eventually our person of contact.
It kind of was starting to be, but the funny thing is we picked up the magazines. Lance, Gaylin, Matt, okay. And we left, and I'm going, wait, that was Matt. That was like Matt. And we just didn't even hang out with him.
But it was like, because was it Matt, or was it Matt on the Harley-Davidson channel? Because there used to be a channel on the website, and it was Matt Swedlin's YouTube stuff.
Oh, on Harley's
website?
Yeah.
On the app, I believe.
No, it's on the.
Oh, really?
On their,
I didn't know that.
They had a television channel thing on it.
Oh, the TV.
And it was just looping videos. So we eventually replaced him.
No, we didn't replace him.
Okay.
He was on it, and we were on it.
But
And he was like,
eventually
The
replaced
Harley
him. He was
TV
gone.
thing. I remember we had the Harley TV
Yeah.
streaming in our dealership. We don't have that anymore.
No, they
it's
took it
gone.
away.
But Matt was like, why, you guys, I used to see you guys on there. And I'm like, you guys are now taking away my thunder, you know?
But
Because we're better, Matt.
for like 3 years, we did the bike launches, and so it was fun to go out and film. We were in some magazine stuff with the Thanksgiving dinner and different things like that, but it was never really, it was us on the bikes, and we could tell it was us, but a lot of times people, some people write us and say, hey, that was you, we can tell that's your eyes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But now what we're doing is we're taking these bikes, as they launch, and creating and helping create content for the launch day. So like we just went on an insane trip in January out to the Monument Valley, and we'd taken the bikes, the Ultra Street Glide, and they were under embargo still.
Yeah.
Meaning they should not be seen unless they're on a private set.
Were people taking pictures of you guys?
People were like, what is that? And so we had to cover the bikes everywhere.
Oh, really?
But it was, for us, that was like insane. That's never happened where Harley and a lot of the executives were like, get him out there and and if you look at the content and the stuff that he colored and the shots he got,
I saw those
some
videos.
Insane stuff.
I saw those videos, and I saw even last year you guys were on the CVOs, the 24 model year CVO Street Glide, that copperhead.
Yep.
So
and then the legendary orange as well.
that one, just a quick funny story. It was a closed set. CHP had shut down the road in Pioneer Town, but when we went to go shoot, they opened the roads up and we went outside. I think we came back and we were filming our final shots with the bikes, just talking about paint, recording some audio. And this guy pulls up in a truck, slams on the brakes, takes his phone and takes a picture out the window, but it's of our bikes on the other side of the road.
Okay.
Like not the new Harleys, our 2021s at the time. And then speeds off like, sucker. Like, dude, you didn't get anything,
Yeah. Well, maybe he just liked he thought your bikes were cooler than the new bikes.
I mean, one thing about it, you do all this work and contract work with Harley. It's fun. We like to do what we're doing. We get to see stuff, but we really don't like to call ourselves influencers. We don't like to be the YouTube influencer people. We just like to be storytellers that do really cool stuff and get people inspired to ride.
Yeah.
We get inspiration from people because they tell us how we've changed their lives or made it so their father and them ride together, and really good positive things. And through our life, we've met great women and great men and actors and this and that. So it's like, we don't want to be known as influencers because we just want to be known as fellow riders that are out there taking it to the limit and sharing that experience.
You touch on something too, because I don't think when we started this, we expected to have he said it earlier in the podcast too, the mental health stuff that's going on. And we've had some really great guests on to talk about challenges they've gone through. But we literally weekly, every month, we get people sending us letters, and we just got invited to 2 weddings.
Oh, really? Yeah.
How
cool is that?
But we've had people call us and say, hey, could you spread my father's ashes? He loved you guys so much. And
Holy cow.
we told this story 100 times. But this guy, Mark, sent his family through it 2 years ago through Sturgis. It was a rainy day. We're at the Legends tent doing a meet and greet. They come through. Hey, our buddy, our dad, our friend is dying of cancer. He's in his garage. He just wanted us to stop in and take a picture and say hi. And so we said, get the phone out, and we FaceTimed him, and he was frail, and he was just looked like he was going through hell. Mm-hmm. He said, thank you for the call. And so a year to almost a day last year when we were at the Legend tent doing a meet and greet, this guy rolls up on his CVO, and he gets off the bike and he walks in and he said, I'm the guy you were talking to in the garage, and I think I'm beating cancer. I'll let you know in 4 weeks when I have my final appointment.
And he was on a CVO. He was riding?
He was riding.
Good for him.
I mean, it brings chills to you, because and those are the kind of things that I don't think we ever thought about having. I mean, we weren't big community guys. It was just the two of us going out, and if we saw another biker, hey, how you doing? But it wasn't. We weren't deep into this, and now that people see what we're doing and we have an impact on them, we're ingrained in the community.
I mean, we've done charity work that we never planned on doing, and we've raised funds for a couple different. So it's like, here we're giving back. It's a good thing. But the guy said, I'm the guy that was on his deathbed.
Yep.
And now I'm here saying hi to you guys.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
It's like your conversation took me from here to here. And I pardon my French, but he said, frick cancer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
you know Frankie Loyal from the Mayans? He was one of the actors. He was on our podcast twice.
Yes.
He was in Sturgis in Rapid City. His buddies, because he's a real rider, Frankie. So he's at Sturgis, and he's with his buddies. And they're watching the restaurant. They're sending drinks over to us. And his buddies are like, oh, those guys, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, who are these guys? Well, we met him, and he was really great. And we're like right there in that moment. You should come on our live. And he's like, I'd love to. Now we're friends.
Cool. And you just, like, some of these relationships and these things that happen, you never would have had that had you not taken a risk, put yourself on camera, because it's a risk.
Right.
You're putting yourself out there. You're sharing private stuff. Yeah, and so, that's so rewarding. That's so cool. What a cool honor to have those types of experiences.
We've had these conversations with the actors that have been on the show. Like, they play a character. And we talked about this a few years ago in Sturgis, because people coming up to us so much, and it was like, and they're telling you stuff that you don't even know about yourself, right? And so it's like, we're not playing, what you see is what you get. If we're fighting or if we're hugging, or if it's who we are.
Yeah.
So this is not an actor doing some acting.
Right.
And
it's authentic. And that's what people like about YouTube.
Authentic.
Yeah, authenticity. It's a different type of content. No, that's very cool. We ran into you guys in Sturgis. What was that, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And we were at Jacob's,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that was just a cool night. Just running into you guys, totally
Bogan
unplanned.
was with you guys. Wasn't he with you?
$1 Million
Bogan.
Oh yeah, Bogan was with us.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it was just cool to see you guys there, and I just feel like that's your guys' element. Just running into you guys there like that made my night. That was one of the last nights we were there, actually. So it was a good way to end the trip. But yeah, I know you guys have done several things in Deadwood Square. I think it was part of, was it Thrashin' that took over Deadwood Square last year?
Thrashin's ride, and it was amazing.
Yeah, like just filled up the
250 bikes rode.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
We filled the square up, and we didn't expect that either. It's like we were on our feet literally in the same spot for 4 hours.
Oh, really?
Just signing
shaking
pictures.
hands.
Well, we had a dinner the next night with some of the people from Harley, the engineers and stuff at Jacobs. We were sitting there. There was like 8 of us. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's like, we're not having to sell ourselves. Like, we can do this or we can do that for you, whatever. They're sitting there with us, and the whole time we're eating, people are coming up. Can I get a picture with you? Oh, I love your video. Can I do this? And then when we're all done eating, they're like, let's go down to the Saloon 10. And the Harley guys are going, wait till you see this. We're not going to get at 5 feet everywhere we go, and there's going to be people. And so they witnessed it. They're like going, it's real.
You know, it's funny you talk about this, because I think a lot of the influencers, I know you guys don't call yourselves that, but we'll just say the content creators. I think for a long time, Harley-Davidson was hesitant to really get involved with content creators. I know, like Ryan Urlacher, I'm sure you guys have met him. He was very, like, for lack of a better term, critical of the motor company for not getting more involved with content creators. And for years, just they didn't participate because maybe they didn't see value there. But then as soon as they actually see it for themselves, and for a long time here, I was spending hours editing and filming and stuff on the job here at the dealership. And like my dad and my uncle who owned the place, they're like, what is Matt doing messing around with this stuff? And now not a day goes by where someone doesn't come in from out of town and say, hey, I watch your channel. Thank you for all you've taught me on the channel. And so it's so valuable, but that right there is a perfect example of people that matter, motor company people seeing and really the value of what content creators bring to the table. You're authentic guys. You would do it anyways, whether you were on YouTube or not. you've been doing it before you were on YouTube, and you continue to do it even though it's not really like a primary source of income for you guys. Yeah, you got to pay the bills, you got to pay for your hotel rooms and pay gas, so it's got to make sense. But there's a passion there. It's not a job,
I would tell you this: if I was your dad and he was your uncle, and we were sitting in the office here at Laidlaw, we would tell you, Matt, you got a great thing going here. You got people that come here. We want you to go 3 to 4 days a month with your crew, and we want you to bring content because you single-handedly will bring in that much more revenue and bike sales to this dealership with what you do on YouTube.
I didn't even know about a Harley dealership until Laidlaw was the first thing I found out online, just searching stuff before I even had a Harley. So
and it's because of your videos.
Well, thanks, guys.
We'll let you off the hot seat on that one, but I'll come back to Harley a minute for that dinner, right? That year we rode the 2023 and a half CVOs out, and they didn't have to ask us to dinner, but they did, and they had the engineers because they wanted our feedback on the bike.
Yeah.
So that's not an influencer. That's someone that they're trusting.
The first person to ride it cross country.
And we were so thankful for that.
You guys were at Sturgis that year when we ran into you guys. You guys were on the new CVOs. That's right. I forgot about that.
So Matt Swedlin has a lot to do with the YouTube and influencers being recognized by Harley. He really made a major push for that. Mm-hmm. He wanted that.
Yeah. I love your guys' channel's vibe. There's so much kind of negativity on other channels, and not that the typical biker lifestyle is bad per se, but you guys focus on the positive, and that is the ride, the experience, the places you guys go. And so major kudos to, just look at the comment section. The comment section of you guys' videos are all just super positive. A lot of the comments that you guys have been talking about, my dad and I ride together now because of your videos, or I did a ride that I saw you guys ride to and you inspired me to go there. And that's the type of stuff that I personally love. And so, kudos to you guys for doing that. We don't have a lot of time left, but I really want to touch on you guys' bikes. So obviously you guys eat a lot of miles, and so touring bikes are kind of what I've seen you guys always ride. What are you guys on right now?
2024 Road Glide, built out. I have all the thrashing parts on it, Cobra exhaust tips, fueling air cleaner, Clockworks windshield, Michelin tires, Highwayman seat, which is a 2-lane life seat that we designed.
Love it.
So we have them set up for the perfect ride, and they sit at our office every day because we ride them. People from around the world, people come in.
What did we just add on yours? What did we just add
Harley
on
lowers?
We just added the Harley lowers in the front, so it's really really
the
awesome.
new lowers that came out, the Street Glide Ultra.
Yeah.
Oh, so nice. Do you have it in the parking lot right now?
No, I do not.
Oh.
We'll show you a picture.
But I'll show you a picture.
All right, that's fine.
So we set them up for the perfect ride. We love them. They're great bikes. And one thing I want to touch real quick is when we do videos with Harley's new bikes and we're showcasing them, we're almost showcasing the experience of how fun the ride is, not like critical about a part on it. We're critical about where that bike took us.
Well, and let me just say this. So we each have a Road Glide, but they're set up differently with thrashing parts on the hard part side.
Yeah.
On the exhaust, the air cleaners and that are all the same, but that allows people to come into our shop and sit on each bike and get a different set of feel for these risers. And we're not saying, I think the 24s and the 25 touring bikes are the best bikes that Harley has built out of the box over the last number of years. And so if a dealership will set up the sag before they leave the shop, most people won't even feel like they need suspension anymore, because we used to bottom out when you left the shop. Right, because we had a smaller shock. I'm not being critical; it's just what it is.
Yeah, well, we have a new bike too in our stable, don't we?
I was just going to say that. So, but these bikes are set up way better. I mean, you got a 117 in them, right? You've got ride modes,
tons of power.
Tons of power. We just picked up a 2025 Street Glide Ultra.
Nice.
So we're going to put that to the paces.
Yep.
We're excited because we rode those in Monument Valley. We're going to ride them to homecoming.
Heck
we have one in the stable now, and we'll just rotate it through the rides.
I love it. Josh, you're on a Road Glide?
Yep, 24 Road Glide. Like you said, I have different exhaust, a couple different things in them, but all the bolt-on parts, that is a fueling parts, anti-reversion full system, and it's insane. It's like Christmas morning every time I ride.
He's
that
not
thing.
cammed, and that bike sounds like it's cammed with that
It's just with the
exhaust
exhaust.
on it. And the intake, the air cleaner he's got on it.
Nice.
But yeah, we all, for me, for all of us, but for me, like the foot controls are a huge thing and the bars are a huge thing because half the time I'm hanging off the bike one-handed, filming and this and that,
Yeah.
and like the adjustable bagger brake arm, it's low, it's close, I'm always covering it. Like riding a stock brake arm is rather dangerous for what I do. So we all set them up for what we need,
He got some wind shots of us going to Arizona, and it was so windy. We were full lean with dust going across the road, and I'm ahead of him, and I'm going, he's not getting this, and I don't blame him, and I don't even want to tell him to get it. He got it.
Yeah.
Holding on, one hand in the wind.
You posted those already, right?
Yeah.
The last video?
Yeah,
Because I
there's-
saw that. And did you have opposing traffic going the other direction in the shot, too?
There was some cars coming by. Like one was filmed on a phone and one was a camera, but
Okay,
yeah, it
because
was-
you had some awesome shots. I love your
Thank you.
openers, by the way. It's like just the transitions and
yeah.
like your color grading. You use a DJI, right, camera?
yeah, for a lot of the riding stuff.
It looks so good, by
Yeah.
the way.
Thank you.
And that trip was East Coasting and thrashing and us.
Yep.
And you can take stills with that too, but we don't. But you can. Zach had some stills when he was.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you
the
can't be a
awesome-
mirrorless camera
No.
shooting rollers, but
Yeah.
the new tech is coming out. You can do a whole lot of stuff,
Yeah, no, you do good. I've tried to use those Osmo cameras before, and it's hard. It's really hard. Like there is a major skill filming rollers, and yeah, it's tough. So major kudos to be able to film with that Osmo. I wanted to mention too, when you guys drop these videos, like right when the bike is released, and all of a sudden 2-lane live, here they are riding the bike. Jealousy just sweeps over my entire body. Okay, just so you guys know, like I'm just like, freaking 2-lane life. They've already ridden the bike, and I'm just like seeing it for the first time, and all of a sudden 3 drops from 2-lane life and like all these Instagram posts and stuff.
Yeah.
So don't take that for granted, guys, because there's a lot of
we
people
don't.
that really envy the fact that you get to ride like right away. I think that's so cool. And I mean, I get them in the dealership, 2 or 3 weeks later, so I'm not.
But
you
we
know,
have to thank management. They're the ones that said, okay, go do it.
They trust
Yeah,
us now,
you
and
know.
they know that we're honorable guys, and we do what we say, and we don't do anything that we shouldn't. And
Yeah.
And just quickly how this kind of evolved. So we were coming back from Four Corners last year with the wives, and we stopped in Aneth, Utah, which is maybe 200 people. There's a gas station there. We pull in. We've got to take a call with Matt Swedlin. 2 guys from New York roll up, and they're like, hey, you're 2-lane live. We're like, yeah.
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
We're headed to Monument Valley. We go over, take a call with Matt. A guy rolls up on his car, gets out, says to the wives, is that 2-lane life? And they're like, yeah. So he walks over. He's Navajo. And he says, my family, we're from Monument Valley. We'd love to have you guys come out, and we can show you the underbelly of Monument Valley, basically. And so we started planning the thing, and then we called Matt, and we're like, hey, we've got this opportunity. Not many people get to do this. And so
I was wondering how you got connected with those Navajos.
it
Like,
was a
dude,
gas station
Wow. How lucky is
called
that?
Fate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So roll this story forward. Matt finally gets approval to get the bikes out. We roll out. It's 14-degree weather. I mean, it was cold, right?
Yeah.
And
Definitely
all
the
of a
coldest
sudden,
ride.
Yeah.
and you have to watch the front end of this video because all of a sudden there's a couple Suburbans that roll up. I don't know if you see that, but guy gets out. He's got a cowboy hat with a feather, and he's got paint down his face. The sun is starting to come up, and the moon, we caught it just at the right time where the moon was still in the sky setting.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this guy breaks out his flute and starts playing this incredible music, and then his brother's banging on this drum, and it was just like,
I saw. I'll have
what
to
are we
rewatch that.
in for, man? This is going to
Definitely.
be epic, and it
That's
was.
an-
we
What-
were
what-
going on that trip if it was on our own bikes,
Right.
or if
Yeah.
Harley wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
There was nothing stopping that trip. So
What an opportunity.
we have
It
another
gives me
really
chills just thinking
yeah,
about it.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up with them as well.
Very
We're not
cool.
done. The
Good.
guy thanks us. He said, "You guys have put us on the map." He goes, "We love it."
That's so cool. That's very. I mean, that area is so beautiful. Like you just can't beat that. And I think too, you can only go to locations that you know about, right? And like, sure, we have the internet, we can research things and stuff like that. But to have someone that has a kind of a Rolodex of places they've been to and where to go and where the lookouts are, I mean, that's super valuable. And so,
Well, I mean, you think about this. We we always go through there, and we stop at Forrest Gump Point, and we take a picture.
Yep.
But
how many times you guys been down that road?
Hundreds.
Too many times to count.
But we've never experienced it like we just did. And we met these wonderful people. They're family to us now. It's similar to like last year when we went to Philadelphia and we filmed. We were in the worst city in the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Is that
Worst
where you guys
neighborhood.
that had the horses?
Yeah,
Fletcher
the worst
Street.
neighborhood, Fletcher Street.
Okay.
And to see the joy that came off of those kids' face at the end, and we probably shouldn't say this, and we showed it though. We took them for a ride around the block, and it was raining a little bit, but no helmets, but they were filming, they were screaming. There was so much we took away from that.
That's why we came up with the other saying, if you don't go, you won't know.
Yeah. I love it.
And don't give up on a state. I mean, take Arizona, beautiful state, one of my favorite. I can keep going there the rest of my life, and I'm going to find something new every single time I go there.
I want to see you guys pull some nuggets out of Kansas or something like
Oh,
that.
we'll do that.
We're
We'll
headed
be
there
there
this year, actually.
We're headed
really?
there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because Arizona, they've got a lot of really good stuff there, but you go to some of these other states, it's like maybe Oklahoma or something.
We found stuff there, and we have videos with it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Route 66.
But we are doing the dealer tour. We leave our place July 4th. We hit Durango Harley July 5th. You come out and meet and greet with us. July 6th is a travel day. July 7th, we're at Twister City, Harley-Davidson. That's in Kansas.
Okay.
Then we're going to Nebraska to the Dillon Brothers, and then we end, and that is on the 8th. The 9th is a travel day. The 10th, we end up at House of Harley in Milwaukee.
Nice.
I'm really proud of you that you had that memorized.
Yeah.
I was looking for a picture.
That's pretty good.
July 5th, Durango Harley-Davidson. July 7th, Twister City in Park City, Kansas. July 8th, Dillon Brothers, Omaha. July 10th, House of Harley, Milwaukee. Just to reiterate, and if people are listening and want to go.
And we're doing something a little different. The dealerships are choosing whether they want to ride in and ride out. So pay attention with your dealer. They may have a kickstand stop place with us or ride us out of town or those kind of things. So because we don't normally let people ride with us just because of the liability.
Yep.
And we're really afraid that Josh, one-handed, is just going to take them out.
Take them out, you know.
And one thing I'd love your listeners to know, if in case they're going to Sturgis, Sunday, August 3rd at the Boar's Nest, Two Lane Life is hosting a party with Thrash and Supply, Harley-Davidson. We will have 100 free Two Lane Life Harley-Davidson Boar's Bash T-shirts.
Heck
100 free burgers. Everyone else can get them.
Heck yeah.
Burgers, but we're going to have plenty other T-shirts without the Harley logo.
What is that, 11 to 1?
11 to 1.
At the Boar's
Maybe
Nest.
2.
August 3rd.
Yeah.
August 3rd.
I would so love to be there.
And we're also leading.
You need to be there.
I would love
leading
to, but
the Veterans Ride in Milwaukee on that Friday, the 11th. So this is an hour-and-a-half ride that's all police, and we're going to be at the front taking on the whole thing.
So that's the 11th, you said?
That's the 11th. So people sign up. You'll see us out there. There's a meet and greet, I believe, also with Harley on the 11th or the 12th.
August?
Yes.
And
No. That's in Homecoming.
Oh, Homecoming. Okay, so July.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. It was a pleasure having you guys here. And for those of you that are watching, make sure you check out, I'm sure you have already, but make sure you check out 2 Lane Life, 2lanelife.com as well for some of your parts shopping as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys on all these things that we've been talking about, Sturgis and Homecoming and everything. Make sure you check out Homecoming this year. I keep trying to make it out to Homecoming, but I tried to make it out the first year.
It really is. It's incredible.
It's part of what you do. You need to be there.
I know.
I'm your dad, and I'm telling you.
Okay. I'm gonna tell my real dad that my Harley dad told me I need to be there, but
and Harley uncle.
And Harley uncle,
We are family.
And Harley brother or son. I don't know how much older than you.
You bring so much knowledge back to this dealership on every journey you take. Boom.
Thanks, Lance.
Let me just tell you this: we've been to a lot of dealerships, and there's some really well-run dealerships, and this is one of them.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys for what you do, and we've been able to break bread with your team, and we've been able to go on a ride. We need to do more of that.
Yep.
But we consider you a friend and your group family.
Family.
And
Laidlaw's rules.
Thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and the feeling's mutual. Yeah, you guys are my family, brothers, and on the road for life for sure. And I look forward to seeing you guys' content. Love it, and keep doing what you guys are doing.
Well, with that, we'll see you down the
road.
road.
All right, love it. Peace.